And now it's time for Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this Upon Further Review, we'll be going over the Thursday night football game, as we always do here on the Wedge. And this game is between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. You can catch this Week 6 matchup on October 9th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's simulcast on CBS and the NFL Network. So the Colts and the Texans are going at it in this AFC South showdown, as both of these teams are 3-2, and this game will go a long way towards deciding who wins the AFC South. This is a game that the Texans desperately need to win. They want to win the South because they cannot afford to lose to the Colts in Houston. Especially, you can't afford to lose games at home against division rivals if you want to win your division. And historically, the Colts have actually dominated the Texans just all around. And so even a lot of that was during the Peyton Manning years, but it seems to have actually transferred over to Andrew Luck as he's had success against the Texans as well. But let's look at so far this season what these two teams have done. And the Colts started off 0-2 for the first time in Andrew Luck's career, but then they bounced back and won their last 3 games. So Denver was their first loss, as they lost in Denver to the Broncos. Then they lost at home to the Philadelphia Eagles, both of those games within 1 possession. But then they came back in Week 3. They went on the road to Jacksonville, and they destroyed the Jaguars. Luck put up huge numbers, as he put up 370 passing yards for the second time in the season. And then in Week 4, they hosted the Titans, and they did much the same to them as they had done to Jacksonville. And Luck almost had 400 yards, as he had 393 passing yards and went over 300 for the 3rd time in the season. And then last week, they hosted the Ravens, and they won an impressive game there by 1 possession by 7 points. And Luck, for the 4th time this season, put up over 300 passing yards. So there's only 1 game where he failed to go over 300 passing yards, and in that game he actually failed to even go over 200 passing yards, and that was against the Eagles. So I'll tell you, the Texans want to study that tape and see what did the Philadelphia Eagles do to contain Andrew Luck in that game. Of course, the Colts still managed to put up 27 points. And that's something the Texans are going to need to contain. But let's look at the Texans and what they've done so far in this season. They won in Week 1. They hosted the Redskins, and that was actually somewhat of a tight game. They won it by 11 points. Not a lot of scoring. Then in Week 2, they went to Oakland and they beat the Raiders, as everyone has that's faced them so far this season. Then they went to New York and they lost their first game of the year to the Giants. Of course, at the time, people were kind of like, oh, geez, they lost to the Giants, maybe they're not so good. But now we see the Giants are actually looking pretty decent ever since winning that game against the Texans. But then in Week 4, they hosted the Bills and they beat the Bills by just 6 points, and that was an impressive victory for the Texans. They then went on the road last week to Dallas as they went up I-45 North, and they lost by a field goal in overtime to the Cowboys. That was definitely a heartbreaker for Houston fans, but it was an exciting game for NFL fans for sure. And that game could have went either way. Of course, they did struggle on offense. Fitzpatrick didn't even put up 200 yards passing. Of course, I think he's somewhat underrated, but he isn't looking too good though so far, as he's actually thrown more interceptions than he has touchdowns. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to need to take care of the ball better if the Texans are going to win this game. As Andrew Luck has no problem putting up points on the scoreboard. He's actually thrown 14 touchdowns so far this year and just 6 interceptions. He has over 1,600 yards already on the season throwing. So Andrew Luck's having a heck of a season. But let's look at the numbers actually. And if we look at the passing offense for the Indianapolis Colts, they're actually the number 1 team in the NFL for passing yards per game. The Houston Texans, by contrast, are number 24 in the league for passing yards per game. So the advantage Colts, of course, if we look at their passing defense, the Colts passing defense is 16th in the league, and and the Texans are 21st in the league in passing yards allowed. So definitely, as I said, the advantage in the passing game goes to the Colts, as they shouldn't have much trouble passing the ball against Houston. Of course, the Texans are going to have to get that pass rush, up in the backfield and get into Andrew Luck's face if they want to slow him down through the air. Then let's look at the running offense. And so far this year, when it comes to rushing yards per game, the Colts are 16th in the NFL, and the Houston Texans are 11th. And when it comes to rushing defense, the Colts are 11th, and the Texans are 25th. So the Texans have been struggling when it comes to yards. They let teams rack up a lot of yards against them. Of course, I'd still give the edge to the Texans on the ground game, they have a better running attack than the Colts. Although the Colts have been doing a decent job of stopping the run. Of course, a lot of that has to do with how much they have the ball. Other teams don't really necessarily run against them either because they're trying to keep up with them and they have to pass to do that. Well, let's look at the points scored for and against. And when it comes to points scored, the Colts put up more points on the board than any other team in the NFL. They are number one in the NFL in scoring points. They're tied with the Eagles for first. And then when you look at the Houston Texans, they're actually 23rd in the NFL for points scored. So they don't really put up too many points. But if we look at defense, though, points against the Colts are 14th in the NFL in points let up, and then the Texans are 4th in the NFL in points allowed. So the Texans, they might let up a lot of yards, but they don't let up a lot of points. So teams might be able to drive into their territory, but they usually have to settle for a field goal as they don't get too many touchdowns against the Texans. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The Texans, though, they do struggle to score. The Colts, they're, middle of the road when it comes to stopping teams from scoring. They're more, offensive minded, and they get in those games, they're high scoring games, and that ends up letting the other team put a lot of points on the board. So in this game, really what the Colts got to do is they got to keep it, a fast pace. They got to throw the ball. They got to put points on the board. That's what they do. If they can do that, if they can force the Texans to play their game, then the Colts have a good chance of winning this one. I'm picking the Texans, though, and here's why. One, they're at home, and of course, I always like a home team, but also they don't allow a lot of points. They can run the ball, and they have defense. And the thing is, this game is on Thursday night, and it's in prime time, and I really do believe on prime time Thursday night, J.J. Watt is going to shine, and he's going to put up a big performance, and he's going to score a touchdown, or cause some kind of, he's going to do some crazy stuff. Maybe he's going to get like 4 sacks or something. He's going to be in Andrew Luck's face. He's going to show him prove that defense is going to rally around him. And right there, if they can do that, and if Arian Foster can run the ball, just keep giving him the rock, keep pounding away. Don't, pass the ball too much. Don't let Ryan Fitzpatrick make those mistakes. If they can, protect the ball and not turn it over, and if they can force turnovers, then I think the Texans can win this game. It should be tight. I believe it will come down to within one possession, a touchdown, more likely even a field goal. So I think it's going to be a really close game. But I think the Texans pull it out. Of course, who knows? It might even be, it could get out of hand. But I think that it should be a very entertaining game to watch, very exciting to watch. It'll be interesting to see that defense go against, if Houston's defense go against the Indianapolis offense and see J.J. Watt going after Andrew Luck. That'll be definitely the matchup to watch. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Very interested to hear what you think is going to happen in this game. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy the show, make sure to hit the like button. That way we'll know that you enjoyed the show. And if you want more of this content, hit the subscribe button. As we bring you this show each and every week. This is The Wedge. We also have Upon Further Reviews. That's the segment you just got done listening to. We do that for every single game. This one is for The Wedge for the Thursday night game, but we do it for all the games on Sunday and the Monday night game as well. Of course, Sunday night too. And so you can get that if you subscribe. You can also get all the recaps that we do. We do recaps for each and every single game, each and every single week in the NFL. We also do some college recaps for the upsets and the top 25 teams. And we're also covering the baseball playoffs all the way through the World Series. Make sure to check all that stuff out. And once again, thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and have a great weekend and enjoy all of the sports.